Okay, guys, this will be good. This is from WrestleMania. Everything from WrestleMania is good. I love that channel. Make sure you support them all you can. This is 10 WWE and other wrestling matches that turned into real fights. So basically shoots. I'm sure most all of you are aware when things get real in the business, we call it a shoot.
We all know that the majority of moves delivered in a wrestling match are done with the full cooperation of both wrestlers in the ring. However, there are times when a match can steer off.
Are you telling me this isn't real?
Off in a totally different direction, and two wrestlers or more can start legitimately fighting during a match. There are several reasons for this.
JBL.
They range from a spot going wrong in the match, which sequentially angers one of the wrestlers.
Right.
The two individuals simply don't like each other, and they decide rather inappropriately to settle the score in the middle of a match.
And that's where things go off the rails. See, that's the one I have an issue with. If you don't like somebody, you don't take care of it while you're out there looking to entertain people. Entertain people with a storyline, not with that. When shit goes wrong, shit goes wrong. It's like any other sport or entertainment, whatever.
With that being said,
you piss somebody off, there can be a fight.
Pro wrestling matches that turned into legitimate shoot fights.
This is such a good channel. I'm a big admirer of WrestleMania.
10, Koko Beware versus the Masked Patriot.
Wait, was that when?
Most fans remember Koko Beware for his.
Was that when? Oh gosh, I can't remember his name. Was playing the Masked Patriot, Salvatore Sincere. What was his real name's going on in my head? Because I have a story about him if it was.
WWE Hall of Fame in 2009. What many fans don't know is that the beloved wrestler was once involved in a match back in the 1980s that turned into a legitimate shoot fight. Koko was wrestling the Masked Patriot for the Continental Wrestling Association promotion in the match.
I apologize, I can't think of the man's name I'm thinking of. But he did that big Mr. USA or Patriot gimmick in the WWE. And again, he worked with Salvatore Sincere. I've known him for years. We're not buds by any stretch. I can't think of his name.
Incredibly physical. For unknown reasons, the Masked Patriot began to be extremely stiff with Koko in the ring. The Masked Patriot would deliver real punches to the face of Koko, which Koko responded back with his own range of stiff offense. And one specific shot actually knocked the Masked Patriot out. That wasn't the end of the mayhem, as Koko continued shooting on his opponent with kicks to the head. Koko then picked up the Masked Patriot and delivered a shoot brainbuster and pinned him for the victory. Number 9, Chris Jericho.
That wasn't. By saying a shoot brainbuster, he kept him safe in that brainbuster. I don't know that you would say that. That sounds like, listen, within the confines of things getting out of a hand in match. Now, this is just me personally and everybody I've known. You'll punch somebody, you'll beat somebody up. I don't know anybody that would go so far, again, in the context of things just getting out of hand a little, of trying to injure someone seriously, which you would do if you broke their neck.
Koko then picked up the Masked Patriot and delivered a shoot brainbuster and pinned him for the victory.
Curled his head right around. He didn't try and hurt him with that. I mean, we've got to be fair. Oh yeah, I know about this one.
Shane McMahon has always been popular with
Shane's
fans as well as talent backstage.
Kind of careless.
So much so that a number of talents have come forward to say that working with Shane in the ring was one of the highlights of their career. The same can't be said for
think he was certainly not careless in the
physical confrontation with Shane back at Survivor
realm of
Series in
Goldberg or something, but
both Jericho and Shane were wrestling as part of their respective teams for the traditional.
I wish we had a better angle of that to see just how hard he kicked him.
For seemingly no reason, Shane began to legitimately punch Jericho in the face.
I don't think he was.
Admits that Shane clearly wasn't doing this out of malicious intent.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. He wasn't doing it on purpose. He was being sloppy.
Jericho responded by some harsh words directed to Shane before kicking him right in the face to finally get the message across that Shane needed to calm down. Number 8, Steiner Brothers versus Nasty Boys.
And that's fair.
When the Nasty Boys joined WCW,
that's the kind of stuff too. Typically nobody holds a grudge about that or anything. It's just that's a shit happens category. Big deal.
1990, they were immediately thrown into a feud with the Steiner brothers.
Oh.
The main reason
I
for
wouldn't
this
want to
was
get in
that
a
there
shoot
were a
with the
number of
Steiner
complaints
brothers.
from fellow WCW wrestlers that the Steiner brothers were far too stiff in the ring, and nobody wanted to work with them. Therefore, when the two teams met at the Halloween Havoc pay-per-view, the match would seriously blur the lines in relation to what was real. The two teams would exchange stiff shots.
I don't think the Nasties want to fight the
Steiners. That Rick and
Steiners.
Scott Steiner went into the match expecting the match to go their way. However, when the Nasty Boys gave genuine offense back, the match turned into a rather unconventional contest. Number 7, Brock Lesnar versus Braun.
I would like to have seen more details on that. The Nasties were nuts. I know of them. I've been to shows and events where they've been there years and years ago. They were rowdy, and they were known in the business to push the boundaries. I mean, in the way they conducted themselves outside the ring. But they weren't generally known as badasses. Rick and Scott
Strowman
were.
Brock Lesnar is well established as being one of the toughest wrestlers on the planet.
Now,
therefore, when Braun Strowman decided to go a little too stiff on the former
that whole thing with Orton, I got to get more details on that. I'd like to see a video on that.
Champion in 2018, he found out the hard way why nobody crosses the beast. The incident took place during a triple threat match, which also featured
Braun
WWE
got exactly what he
legend
deserved in that one.
In the match, Braun would get overly physical with Lesnar, with
Lesnar did exactly what he should have done in that situation.
Responded by punching Braun in the face. It was clear that if Braun didn't calm down,
they told him to slow down.
Would give Braun the beating of a lifetime in the middle of the ring. According to Braun, once the two men got backstage, Braun apologized to Lesnar, and the two were reportedly on good terms with each other moving forward.
And that's not, like I said, that's not surprising. That's how those things usually work out. I mean, Braun has no right to be pissed about. Not he wasn't. I'm saying he would have no right to be pissed about it. He freaking stiffed him good with that knee. He deserved to get punched in the face. Anybody I know in the business, including myself, if I'd have screwed up and done that to somebody, I would have expected to get punched in the face.
Ken Shamrock versus
Been
Vader.
shocked if I didn't.
Vader and Ken Shamrock are two of the toughest wrestlers to ever step foot in a squared circle, and their match at In Your House, A Cold Day in Hell in 1997 was testament to this.
I don't know
the
what
match would act as Shamrock's
I'd like to see a
first
shoot
ever
fight
match on
between
WWE
those two. I
pay-per-view,
gotta like
and
Shamrock though in his
forgot
prime.
that he wasn't actually supposed to hit his opponent, as he would give Vader a number of shoot punches that actually broke Vader's nose. Vader would actually inform Shamrock to ease up, but this did little to stop Shamrock. This led to Vader giving Shamrock one of the stiffest lariats ever, which almost beheaded Shamrock. The two managed to continue the match without too much commotion.
That was pretty
Shamrock
stiff.
Quickly learned that WWE was extreme match without fist lariats.
I want to see that again. That was pretty stiff.
This led to Vader giving
We gotta
Shamrock
let him have
one of
it.
the stiffest lariats ever, which almost beheaded Shamrock. The two managed to continue the match without too much commotion, and Shamrock quickly learned that WWE was extremely different from the MMA world, which he was accustomed to.
That's cool.
Number 5, Perry Saturn versus
Mike
Bell.
Ding Dong
When
Bell.
Perry Saturn took on Mike Bell during the
Yeah,
taping
Mike
of
Bell
WWE Metal in 2001.
wrestled with a lot
The
of
match
us
was supposed
in the
to act
indies
as a
for
basic
years.
enhancement match for Saturn.
I always
During
thought
the
he was a
course of
good
the match,
dude, but
Bell would botch a number of basic moves, and
did.
Bell would even botch an arm drag, which resulted in Saturn landing on his head. Saturn was absolutely incensed that Bell had botched these moves,
under him
so Saturn
instead
decided
of
to shoot on Bell. Saturn
pulled
would
him
deliver
over.
punches to Bell's face,
really
and
odd.
he would throw him through the ropes with so much velocity that Bell landed on his head. Saturn would deliver a number of moves that were clearly one-sided on the cooperation side of things, and Saturn would even target Bell's neck in some incredibly scary spots.
Perry Saturn was known as a legit tough guy too, and it's all unfortunate because I certainly don't think Mike Bell was doing any of that on purpose, but he was screwing up.
Once the match was over, even Saturn's manager Terry Runnels would kick Bell as he was exiting the ring to add insult to injury. Saturn was heavily criticized by WWE management backstage.
He went too far.
The incident.
Yeah.
Even WWE icon Stone Cold Steve Austin later came forward to state that Saturn's way of handling the incident was not appropriate.
Yeah.
Saturn would be given the...
he got the moppy gimmick. I agree with that. I mean, Bell was a little sloppy. But again, just like we had talked about in previous ones, that's how you handle it. It's just like Brock handled it. So potato him. Punch him. Raise a potato over his eye. Let him know he screwed up. And I don't know that he was trying to break his neck when he threw him out of the ring, but throwing somebody out of the ring when they're that much out of control, you're you're allowing that
gimmick shortly after the incident with Bell
to be a possibility.
And that was unfortunately the beginning of the end of his once promising career. Number 4, Kurt Angle versus Daniel Puder. Back in 2004, Kurt Angle and Tough Enough star Daniel Puder would square off in what was presented as
everything
a
I've
style match.
seen of him, even since this incident, he just seems like a dick to me.
This plan quickly went out the window.
Just my
Puder
opinion.
decided to
Puder,
lock in a shoot
I'm
armbar on Angle, and Angle was actually close to tapping out, which could have seriously impacted Angle's credibility. Due to the match turning into a real-life shoot, the referee had to pretend that Puder's shoulders were down on the mat to award Angle the victory. When the incident initially happened, fans were confused as to what had just gone
Yeah,
down.
I remember watching it live.
A report released by Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer confirmed that Puder decided to shoot on Angle. He revealed, "It was real. If you don't follow fighting,
you
Puder
could see
had
it was
Angle
clearly
locked in the
real.
Kimura, or key lock as Taz called it, although Taz didn't let on that the move was fully executed. Not only was Angle not getting out of the move, but most MMA fighters would have tapped already. Angle couldn't tap for obvious reasons. The ref counted a 3,
Angle's a
even though
tough
Puder's
guy.
shoulders
But
weren't
see,
fully
the thing
down.
with Puder, though,
Time
too, though,
the thing, because the reality was Angle would have been in surgery if it had gone a few seconds longer, or had Puder not given up the hold.
And
Number 3, APA.
See, the thing there is, from what I understand of it, now a lot of times you guys know more details than do I. He locked him in a Kimura before it was both parties knew we were involved in a shoot. Which, and if that's the case, that's basically a cheap shot.
Bradshaw and Farouk had quite the reputation for being no-nonsense wrestlers, particularly during the Attitude Era. Therefore, when there was an issue backstage with the APA and the Public
Simmons
Enemy
was a
relating
tough
to the
guy.
match
Bradshaw
finish,
was a bully.
The APA decided to legitimately beat the Public Enemy up
Simmons
during the course
is a
of the
badass.
match. Bruce Pritchard revealed that the APA felt disrespected by the Public Enemy taking issue to the match finish, and the APA naturally decided to take it to them in the match in a rather physical manner. Following the match, the two teams shook hands and parted ways. Shortly after the incident, the Public Enemy
Nothing
were released
surprising
from
about
WWE.
that.
It was put down to the duo not getting over, but the common consensus is that this incident was the catalyst that led to their WWE departures.
And it probably was, but I remember when they came into WWE and they weren't over. They didn't get the pop they had gotten other places. But that, again, if you're Public Enemy, I don't know how you didn't expect that. These are two veterans, and you're whining about the finish. Yeah, it
Number
just
2,
doesn't
William
fly.
Regal versus Goldberg.
This one's cool.
The match between
It's
William
cool
Regal
seeing
and Goldberg in WCW
Regal stretch him a
back
little
in
bit.
1998 is one of the most infamous matches in WCW
Boy, he missed with that
history.
shoulder tackle,
the match
too,
was supposed
Goldberg.
to be a simple squash match with Goldberg attaining yet another victory. However, Regal decided to legitimately wrestle Goldberg with shoot amateur-style wrestling moves. There's been some debate over the years in relation to what truly happened during the match. Some state that Regal was told that the match was supposed to be a competitive match, while some claim that Regal simply wanted to shoot on WCW's rookie. According to former WCW president Eric
what the
Bischoff,
real
it was
story
Regal
was,
who
don't you guys?
initiated the shoot elements of the match, and it was Regal simply going too far. Bischoff stated on his podcast that, "Personally, I've never talked to Bill or Regal about this, so I don't know what their individual perspectives are.
that's fair
and they
then.
were the two that were involved, so it's really their opinions that are the only ones that matter. I'm telling you what my expectations and rationale behind the match was, but I think, in my opinion, with all due respect to Mr. Regal, he went too far. He wanted more than we wanted him to take. It went a little farther than it should have." Number 1, Nia Jax versus...
Regal's a badass too. My guess on that would be pretty much, not that I necessarily want to agree with him, but just what he said. Bischoff said. Excuse me. I could see Regal wanting to stretch him a little bit. I don't think anything got too out of hand in that match. I never saw anything. Regal didn't do anything that was looking to put Goldberg out of commission for a while, but I think he wanted to stretch him a little bit.
Versus Charlotte Flair.
That's got
on
a history in
Nia
wrestling.
Jax versus Charlotte Flair sounds
forever.
like a typical match that fans would see on Raw, but this particular match was a stark contrast to the matches that the two women have had before. The match in question took place on the August 30th, 2021 edition of Raw, and during the match, the two appeared to shoot on each other in rather shocking fashion. The two would exchange real slaps and punches, and it was completely out of the blue, as both women appeared to be on good terms and seemed to be friends outside of the ring. PW Insider would report that there was a tense confrontation in the middle of the match that led to the physicality, although they didn't elaborate on what the center of the issue
I don't know who'd
was.
win in that fight.
PW Insider also noted that the two women were fine once they got backstage, so the apparent issue was settled in the ring.
Well, These are good. I love the way they cover these. Yeah, that's again that the whole Flair and Nia Jax one. That's shit that happens. Who knows what set it off? Somebody got a little stiff with a punch, or somebody responded. The first person didn't like the response, and things escalate. Happens. That type of stuff happens all the time. In the best of all worlds, it's just exactly what he said there. You go in the back and you're like, you shake hands and it's like, hey, you go on to the next show, the next match. I've had similar things happen, never escalated huge, but I won't tell you that whole story right now or stories right now, but that's the way I've always seen it too. Shit happens.